Retro.
Yeah.
Electro. Tech.
Oh yeah.
Hey, turn the lights back on. Wow. Retro electro tech. When real audio ruled the world.
Well, hello there once again, everyone. This is Retro Ernest of Retro Electro Tech. And I'm at the very back of the shop, back bench in the dark, scary catacombs of which no one ever returns, kind of like the Bermuda Triangle, only without Bermuda and without the triangle. So what I have on the bench is a Tivoli Audio Music System, this little guy here. They came to me with a customer complaint that it wasn't powering up. So I found what the problem was, and it was fairly straightforward, which is a good thing because I can't find any service data on this unit. Surprise, surprise. This unit was probably produced, I think, in the early 20 teens, maybe a little bit before that, but it's fairly newer in the grand scheme of things compared to, you know, what I work on day in and day out. So a lot of companies nowadays, they don't provide service data. They don't want people to have that. They don't want people to repair stuff and all that. Okay, great. So that's why I'm saying if it was a deeper rooted problem and I needed service data and all that stuff, then, you know, it is what it is. But anyways, other than that, let me point out what I'm talking about here. So what I found that was preventing it from powering up was a loose connection ultimately. So I separated the board, you know, from this back cover here, and you know, there's some screws on the board, blah blah blah, and you know, a little yeah, you got to remove a knob here, take off a nut here, and there you go. The world is your oyster, and you're in. So on the back side of this connection here, the line cord socket, there's a couple of terminals here, and I don't even know if you could see this because I'm not looking at the back of the camera, but there's a couple terminals that are riveted in place. Now those rivets were a bit loose, so I ended up solidifying the connections and just soldering them, in other words, and solidifying the connections. And lo and behold, everything powered up okay. It sounds fine. Everything is looking good. So why is everything else pulled out here? What's going on is the display is pretty dim, and I don't think it's like that by default. I don't see why it would be, because usually when you power up a unit for the first time that's been powered off, you know, a unit from this era, the display will start out pretty bright, and then from there you can, you know, access whatever menu you need to, either on the remote or whatever the case, and play around with it and adjust your luminance level where you want it. I did contact the customer about whether or not there was any kind of adjustability on the remote for the display, because she didn't bring the remote in, and she says there is a display button, but doesn't know much beyond that. So I don't know what that display button is for, whether or not it has anything to do with adjusting the luminance of the display itself. It would be nice because this thing is pretty dim. So anyways, and I looked in the owner's manual that I have here. She did bring that in, and I didn't run across anything that even mentioned that about the you know, luminance of the display brightness, whatever. And I even looked on the interwebs and wanted to see if I could find something, if there was some you know, secret handshake involved in gaining access to the menu and, you know, whatever. And I did find a little menu. I pressed a couple buttons. I found a little menu, but it had nothing to do with the display. So I really don't know, and I don't think it's that dim by default. And I'll show you guys once I get this thing put back together and powered up and go into a little audio test. Okay, so here we are around back. Of course, you can see I had quite a few, you know, ribbon cables and some wires to contend with. Nothing big though. Actually, let me set that there. So anyways, yeah, I got them all marked, so it'll be easy to get them plugged back in and whatnot. A few wires I had to desolder, but not too bad. And other than that, I had to pull the speaker out from the bottom here. There's no access up in there otherwise. And you can see I have the board hanging there that drives the display that interconnects with everything in the front. You can see back in there probably, I think you can. Let me get the light situated. And yeah, you can probably see the socket up in there that the board plugs into. And then there's another little slit up there that a few of the ribbon cables and wires feed through to, again, connect up with everything in the front. The problem is this: if I did want to go deeper to assess a problem with the display, again, I don't know if the customer's remote is going to resolve that. I don't think so, but you never know though. As I already said, I don't think that the display should be that dim upon power up, so I think there's something going on with it. But anyways, the problem is you can see this wall here, and of course in the back you can see it's a plastic panel up at the front, and this box here, okay, is what houses the CD mechanism. So this appears to be all one piece, okay? So there's channels carved into the wood, and it looks like this is just slotted in there, that it just slots right in. And to make matters worse though, it looks like when they got everything mounted in place that they glued all the seams, all right? So I'd have to really do a lot of work to try to, you know, bust everything loose to get this out, to get to the front. If I wanted to examine the display and all the connections, you know, at that display board up there and so forth and whatever. Now, the board here is what drives, the circuitry here is what drives all that and interconnects to the front. And as a matter of course, I did look at the bottom of the board just to see if there was any bad solder joints involving the sockets that all these ribbon cables plug into. And I, of course, checked the ribbon cables to make sure none of them were loose, and everything looked okay. But of course, without a you know, schematic service data, I'm pretty much dead in the water if I wanted to go any deeper and start trying to suss out the circuitry to see what's going on there. So I'm trying to reverse engineer all this stuff. There's, you know, there's a microcontroller on there. There's some chips. There's a lot of tiny little SMD components and all that. So yeah, not going to be reverse engineering all that stuff. So anyways, but I did want to do my due diligence and just take a look in here and explore a little bit to see what there is to see. If anything looked loose, like I said, on that board that's driving all of that, that's interconnecting it to begin with. And like I said, that looks okay. But getting any further than that and trying to get this all slid out, yeah, that's just not going to happen. The customer did say that she was happy that I got the unit to power up again and play music. Okay, so here's the Tivoli ravioli all put back together. And I don't know if you can see the display or not via the camera. You might. I'm looking at the back of the screen, but I can't really tell. Now, live in the real world here, I can see that it says January 1st, 12:17 p.m. So, and that's kind of looking down at it at an angle. If I was to kind of do this number here, there is an angle that, you know, it looks a little bit better. You can see it a little bit better is what I'm trying to say. Now, I don't expect the customer to do that. It really doesn't matter. You know, like she said, as long as she can see it a little bit and mainly hear the music, fine. That's the thing. So if I zoom in, you might be able to see it a little bit better. I really don't know if you can or not. It looks like you can kind of see something through the camera display. And certainly if I get a flashlight, you can see it, okay? And that's kind of the point. So if the customer keeps like a little flashlight, a little pen light or whatever near the unit, she can do that if she wants to just verify the settings on the display. Unfortunately, it just has to be that way because I don't know what's going on with it. I would have to gain access and try to suss that out. And, you know, I need schematics, I need this, I need access, but, you know, that's the best I could do as I pointed out earlier. Oh, and also too, one thing I want to mention, let me pull out a little bit. there is a display button on here. And I mentioned that her remote, she said there's a display button there. Anyways, what the display button does though, it just says static, scrolling, and off. So it has nothing to do with the display brightness. And that's really about it. I don't know otherwise what the deal is with the display. It may just be petering out or whatever the case, or there might be something else going on in the circuitry there that drives the display, but don't know, can't get into it, and I don't have the service data, so once again. So anyways, does it work? Yes. And let me, it's just a YouTube test CD. It's got YouTube music burned onto it. Alright, so as you can see, it loads just fine. And let me, okay. Okay, let me see. Let me switch it over to. It has an auxiliary input too. I haven't tested that yet. I probably will at some point before I send it home, just to make sure the auxiliary input's working. And here's FM. Yep, I'm not going to camp on that. Anyways, yeah, you can tune via these arrow buttons here, and yeah. And anyways, and that's not even with an antenna hooked up, so pretty good. So it's doing what it should be doing, and I'm glad I got it to power back on for her. And other than that, there's not much more I can do about the display. So I'm just going to leave it here, guys, and as I always say, peace, love, music, and in this case, the not-so-vintage audio that brings it to your ears. Till next time, y'all take care.
This has been a Spinning Head production.